when you found Triumph,
Yeah.
doing his voice, were you able to riff at a faster level than you can just normally? There's
definitely, because
is that a
you're-
strange thing?
Well, you're freed up to be meaner and release your id.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm just a nerdy. You know, I'm still a nerd deep down, and like the other, like I got to do that on Conan, not just with Triumph, but like when that show started, we created this bit where he speaks to photographs, like
Right.
celebrities' photographs, and they always
Right.
cut the lips out, and it was almost always me.
Schwarzenegger.
And it was like this amazing release to just be able to do the silliest impression and say whatever the hell we wanted. And I by the way, I don't write. A lot of people write Triumph with me, and a lot of people wrote those bits.
Right.
So there is riffing within scripted stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a strange thing when you put on like a veil. Like you could actually.
Oh, yeah.
It just frees something up in
And
you.
the beauty of Triumph is that it's also just this level of silliness and absurdity that makes people's feelings aren't hurt when Triumph, when this little stupid puppet is doing it.
Yeah.
It has sort of a court gesture kind of quality to it,
Right.
as
Yeah.
opposed to like an aggressive looking comedian saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
when he was in Ted Cruz's face,
oh yeah.
so great. That line about Trump neutering him.
Oh yeah, that was an improv. That was he gave me a softball though. That was I feel like I should have turned in my Triumph card if I didn't come up with that line at that moment, because he literally said like, the Democrats, remember the Democrats were the ones who had you neutered, and it was right at the time where he was just groveling for Trump after
Yeah.
being accused of his dad. Right, Trump said
Right,
his
his
dad killed Kennedy.
Yeah, with
basically.
Oswald.
Yeah, it was Raul, and then the whole thing about his wife not being as hot as Melania.
Right. Yeah. And then Triumph just comes right back.
Yeah, that was satisfying. I give myself credit because the improv was like I said, I thought it was a softball, but I was surrounded by hate.
Yeah.
All around me. Like, I didn't think I was going to get to talk to Ted Cruz that time. I was there to cover the campaign. I thought maybe I'd yell at him
Right.
from a distance, but he saw me. He saw the puppet, and he loves comedy. He also thinks he's really funny.
Wow.
So he's like, Triumph.
Get over here.
Yeah, he was like, I'm ready. I'm prepared.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
God.
And I had made fun of him a couple of years ago on a Hulu special that I did. And I'm sure he had seen it. So
Right.
some of these things, he probably had imaginary conversations with Triumph in the shower.
I can get him.
Yeah. And then afterward, he actually, I'll give him credit, he said, he actually high-fived Triumph. And I had to give him the paw back. You know, I have that long, ridiculous paw.
Yeah.
But then I cut it out of the piece. It was on Colbert's show. Cut it out of the piece. I didn't want that to be a meme, you know,
Right.
or a gif of Triumph high-fiving Ted Cruz out of context.
That's nice.
Then he comes over and he wants to talk comedy with me.
He did?
Bob,
No.
what do you think about Saturday Night Live? What do you think about it? I think it's gotten too political. And I was like, well, I kind of think all comedy's gotten too political, which is
Yeah.
because of people like him.
Right.
Just infuriate
Just the
and
rage.
divide the country.
Yeah, I know. Did you have, when you were a kid, did you have like screw around time where you were, I used to do this thing with popsicle sticks and put little faces on them.
Oh, yeah?
And I would do little impressions. Like I would have like a stack of them and just kind of like flick through.
That's great.
Were you doing that kind of thing when you were a kid?
I had different stages. I think when I was super young, I was really into drawing. Like that was the first real skill that I had that like people were like made me feel special. Like I could draw like Fred Flintstone and Charlie Brown like really pretty well when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So I just ran with that and wanted to be a cartoonist. And then I just started drawing my friends in class. And that was another way that, you know, I got my, whatever my comedy yah-yahs out, and made friends, and people loved me for being the funny guy who could do that. And then I started impersonating all my friends and my teachers, and I would write songs. That was the other thing I would do, is write jingles.
Oh, yeah.
Like little 30-second jingles about people to make fun of them. I don't know.
How old are you doing this? This is
Like 9, 10 years old. It was like... I always liked writing songs, but never seriously. But then I ended up doing a comedy album and writing classics like Underage Bichon.
I watched the Triumph on in San Francisco.
Oh, with Weird Al.
Yeah, with Weird Al.
Oh, yeah.
That was great. That riff, that run that you had of doing Weird Al type songs to Weird Al was so funny.
I know. And now Weird Al wants me to. I told him, someone on Twitter said you should do a whole album covering Weird Al, like the way it's like Ella Fitzgerald would do, like Ella does Ellington,
right? Yeah.
It would be like Triumph does Weird Al. It's just an entire album of songs that Weird Al did not parody,
right?
Just shitty,
just so inane.
Yes, incredibly shitty Weird Al parodies. So people, if you see the show, it was like I sang something like Stevie Nicks' Landslide, and I would say to Weird Al, "Oh my God, that was such a touching one. The parody of Landslide. What was it? Mudslide? Well, I've been drinking Starbucks latte and Chipotle's right next door." And it just goes on about... straight out my ass it pours. It's like that kind of thing. All about just taking a huge dump.
And
You can see my reflection in the blue water bowl, and the mudslide will turn it brown. Yes, the mudslide will turn it brown. And Weird Al Yankovic, everyone. One of his best.
He's going, I didn't do that.
No, please.
That wasn't
so
me.
Modest. Oh, Weird Al, you're so modest. Yeah, no, those are really fun, those game shows that I'm doing.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really funny. Michael Winslow is the announcer.
Well, he was the announcer. I mean, I've done them.
One.
I actually wanted to do it as a podcast, and I started one. I did one in 2019. And back then, I did it in Brooklyn with Pete Davidson and Lawrence O'Donnell and Scaramucci.
Oh, wow.
People.
Wow.
And it went really well. And the announcer was Black Wolf, the Dragon Master, who, if you know, the time Triumph went to Star Wars.
Oh, God.
Of those kids.
Who doesn't know that?
Black guy who was a wizard, dressed as a wizard.
With his
had
fish
a big
sandwich.
white beer. Yes. Your fillet of fish. So he was my announcer, which was, sadly, he passed away. But Michael Winslow has done it for me a couple of times. He's hilarious. Yeah.
Man, the impact of that Star Wars Triumph Star Wars thing in New York, that was on Conan, right?
That was on Conan, but what really made it famous was that was the first thing I ever did that went viral on the web, and it was before YouTube. It was something called iFilm, I think, was the name of the website. And it was kind of like YouTube, and they actually, I think, coined the term viral video. And the thing did great on the show.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that's it.
Right.
Maybe and then
normal.
I'll tell people when the rerun's on.
Right. Yeah. It's so crazy.
And then a few months later, I started getting it in emails from people, and they showed me this link. Like, this is so fucking funny. I never saw it. And then that was the beginning of when these things. That was the first thing from the Conan show that hit that way. And then and it was so ironic. So then here's what happened. So then a couple of years later, I do this Michael Jackson trial. I go to the Michael Jackson trial in Santa Maria, which was incredibly challenging because his most devoted fans came from all over the world to protest.
Yeah.
And they're all dressed in these crazy outfits. They were perfect straight men.
Right.
They were so mad at Triumph that they would literally, if I would get any of them to be interviewed, people right off camera would start screaming, fuck, 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 like to ruin the audio.
Man.
Yeah, we had to stay an extra day to calm them down.
Jeez.
But anyway, we got a great piece out of it. Yeah. And then people started talking. I brought lemonade and And like seriously, and sunblock.
Wow. You
And,
just befriended them?
Yeah, yeah. And they were like, "Oh, we're just desecrating the reputation of your hero,
Your idol,
we're just
your
regular
god.
folk desecrating your."
Here's some lemonade. It's-
And we got just enough people to make the piece work.
Yeah.
And it did great on this iFilm thing. And then finally NBC like catches drift of this and takes it down. And I went through this whole back and forth, and Jeff Ross, the Conan producer, tried to make the case like,
Right.
this is good for the show. They're like, no, it's our property. No, we can't do that. Then like literally 6 months later, Lazy Sunday happens on Saturday Night Live with Andy Samberg and
Right.
Lonely Island, and that basically invented YouTube.
right.
YouTube existed, but no one heard of it,
Oh.
and that became this enormous thing. And then suddenly, all the networks catch on,
Right.
and now we have what we have today, which is, nobody watches anything live anymore.
No, it's
Practically,
crazy.
except for the Tom Brady roast, I think.
Yeah, I know. It was insane.
Yeah.
It's has Triumph been on any of those roasts, of the big roasts?
I haven't done a lot of those roasts, and there are a couple of reasons. One is